I'm a progressive, and all that. Yeah, it's going to be good.
The House Sparks radio program, mega worldwide.
Yeah, It's going to be good.
It is. This would be one of the days to play the happy ending song, but if we started right now, we wouldn't even get through it by the time the show was over, because we got very little time. There's a lot of stuff, I was telling Johnny during the break, but there's a lot of stuff in the book Peril that to the right wing will come across as like propaganda supporting Biden, but really it's just them reporting on what he's like with his own people, what the process was in him deciding to run for president, who he was talking to, his conversations with James Clyburn and Clyburn's wife, making the call that he's the only one that can win. It's a lot of it's very touching. I mean, his family basically corralled him. There's a brutal story in there about the intervention they had with Hunter. Yeah. Before all this, before even the presidential run came up, and he, it was like paint by numbers. He comes in, there's people waiting. He realizes it's not just dinner. He storms out. Biden follows him down the driveway, gives him a hug, and is trying to, and then he agrees to go into rehab, and then 2 days later calls an Uber, gets out of rehab, and disappears and goes on a binge for 3 days, which is what addicts do, and it's heartbreaking when people go through that stuff. And anybody who knows addicts or knows anybody who's been through that kind of stuff, you have incredible sympathy for how broken they feel. They feel like they're letting everybody down. Half the time, it's these kind of binges in some ways are like suicide missions, where they're like, maybe I'll just die this time and I won't be anybody's problem. It's just heartbreaking, and that's clearly where he was. You've got, Biden and Jill trying as best they can to deal with this son that's, on a downward spiral. There's, this is the kind of thing, especially, you hear about this in well-known families, the errant son that's a bit of a problem. Like Tom Hanks's anti-vaxxer kid comes to mind a little bit. Obviously, Hunter Biden, like young Hollywood, that kind of stuff. Those things, those happen in well-known families a lot, and it's a recurring issue. But also, it happens to average families all the time, especially with the opioid epidemic that's been going on. And I think what's lost on people's criticism about Hunter Biden all during the thing, which is, there's a big story in there about how Lindsey Graham and Biden used to be friends, and he hasn't spoken to him since the election because of how he talked about Hunter Biden. Because he knew him. He knew his son, and and he hasn't been able to forgive him for how he spoke about his son.
Sure.
And the like. I think they've misread the whole Hunter Biden story ultimately, because I think there's a lot of families in this country around the opioid epidemic that have gone through that heartbreak, that know that it's horrifying and possible. We've lost so many lives to it across the board that there's a sympathy for the Biden family about that. And certainly, beyond even the fact that, Bo's brain cancer and him dying and his father deciding to, try, for the cancer moonshot while not running again, and then, deciding to run again after the whole family came to him. There's a lot of fascinating stuff that we'd heard kind of tangentially stories about, right?
Right.
But the book basically vacillates back and forth between, Mark Milley dealing with the fact that Trump is losing his mind, Trump losing his mind, and screaming at everyone to find him the votes, just insisting that they're out there and they must be found, and that this is all, it's rigged and terrible, and you're not doing your job, and for America, and his, just berating Pence and all this kind of stuff. It's a fascinating view inside there. Oh, Pauline, thank you so much for the birthday wishes. Aww. From Pauline and Corey and Nick. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. And it gives you a way more sympathetic view of even Biden than a lot of people have. That said, I guess one of the bigger pieces of news, and we'll see how this plays out over the last week, but the migrant camp under the bridge in Del Rio, Texas has been cleared out. 12,000 Haitians, mostly families, have been brought into the country. Of the 15 or so thousand that were gathering at any one time, 12,000 of them have been brought into the United States. Another 3,000 were directly expelled back to Mexico because they were, just working aged men by themselves. You're not going to get into the country if that's what you're, if you're just trying to, go to America to get a job to send money back home, and you're the male, so they think you can survive the trek and all that kind of stuff. You don't have a shot. Yeah. You're going to get sent home. And then another 6,000 were deported back to Haiti via these flights. And the Haitian envoy quit this week because he didn't like how people were being treated, at the border in that regard. And still, there's no, what's increasing is the United States has a bit of one and needs a better strategy to help Haiti get back on its feet to some degree, but there is almost no appetite in the electorate for it, because it is effectively a failed state right now. And it's very, and it's incredibly dangerous for the people that are there, and a lot of them are just scattering to nearby countries hoping to go back as soon as things normalize, just leaving. Right now it's just basically a gang war is happening, not even a civil war, which is heartbreaking. And so there is, again, in terms of how do you repatriate people back to Haiti to help with that process, right? They shouldn't be evacuating out of their country if they can actually play a part and, work and all the other things that they need to have done there. Whether they're government officials, whether they're private citizens, just, who could be helping to rebuild or clear rubble or whatever in their own country, but that have just left because it seems hopeless. If you can help stabilize the situation, maybe there's a chance that they'll go back, they'll have something to go back to. None of it is going to be, easy. And there are a lot of those kind of things that are part and parcel to being president that you don't get to skip. No one gets to skip those moments as president. They land on your desk. There's no good solution, and it's on you. The only difference is that in Trump world, there is no version of the Haitian migrant camp that's been there for the last week that has now been cleared, where 12,000 of the people actually get into the country and are allowed to work with NGOs or relatives that they have in the country temporarily until they can file for asylum or any of those kind of things. And there is a difference. Benny Loco in our chat room. Can't we all just get a bong? That's a rallying cry. But we obviously the big thing on Monday we'll be watching will be the reconciliation package and the infrastructure bill. Will they be on parallel tracks? Will the vote on the infrastructure bill, the bipartisan one, go through? Because here's the part, and I'm going to lay this out there to give everybody a little bit of to pique your curiosity over the weekend. There could be a chance that Republicans, because it is a bipartisan bill, who have been lockstep against everything in the House because of McCarthy, decide to end run around the progressives when the vote comes up by making up for those loss of votes on the Republican side, thereby passing the smaller infrastructure bill, the roads and bridges and broadband infrastructure.
That'd be amazing.
Bill, and then it would leave the 3.5 trillion and the ability to raise the debt ceiling for another day, and would be part of that workout. I wouldn't rule that out. Somebody's asking me, how does it feel to be 29? It feels great, actually. I will say at 52, it is nice to walk around and see the occasional 29-year-old, and I'm like, I'm in better shape than they are. That's it. You feel good. You do. You really do. All right, we're at the end of the show. I gotta go enjoy my birthday in the city. We're gonna go have a meal and walk around a little bit in the sunshine, and then we're gonna go to the symphony, and it's gonna be great. And
spray some mace at some Capitol guards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then we signed up. The list is long, so we're gonna Sunday we're scheduled to do it.
That's
we had
not
a
till
choice.
tomorrow. Okay, it's
Yeah.
a shame you couldn't get it on your birthday.
Yeah, 5:30 a.m. or 8 p.m.
Yeah,
and yeah,
not
that
worth
was
it.
no. And I was like, nah. So, anyways, everybody, thank you so much for your love and support and happy birthday wishes today. I can't tell you how moved I am by it. Thank you for subscribing to the show. Thank you to all our new folks on here, and thanks to everybody in Chicago. It's nice to share my birthday with you guys as well. We'll see you next time. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Bye.